The crit versus hit, crit's a great mod for everybody. It really depends on what spec you're doing or what your personal preference is between crit and hit. There's needs for it in both PvE and PvP. And I'm sure in this particular case, I know we go very light on the amount of hit we give you on PvP gear, whereas raiding gear I tend to go a lot further. Like you'll see items that will give you an excessive amount of hit because, well, it's a raid item and you need 25% or whatnot as a rogue, and here you go, have fun. So, are you talking about the twin blades?
Well, no. The two specific ones: the one-handed caster sword from Arena versus the Fang of the Leviathan. Okay. That's a case of hit on PvE only, crit on the other way around. PvE, crit, PvP, hit. Likewise, Kale Staff versus Arena 2 Staff. Kale Staff is only crit, it's about 50 crit. Arena Staff is 23 hit, 40 crit. It's better PvE itemization on a PvP item. And yeah.
Right. Part of that comes from the fact that there's just so much itemization in a raid content, especially at this point. Like, there's pretty much every flavor under the sun of itemization for PvE, whereas PvP we just kind of have room for, well, here's your one item, and PvP or PvE we rather have like, okay, here's 3 different takes on the same item. So you're going to find that one that happens to be crit versus that one that happens to be hit. But the focus on the weapons in particular, the gladiator weapons, especially the Season 2, tended to be a little bit too powerful for the ease of attainment. So we've actually discussed, I've talked to Tom about this one at great length, and he's actually been considering the attachment of maybe a rating requirement on the weapons for the Season 3 gear, so that the guy in blue and Quest Awards doesn't walk up to the vendor and go, ha ha ha, that's Screw Tempest key.
Hi, I have a couple questions about, first one is with engineering. Am I going to be able to make something for non-engineers besides Easy Throw Dynamite? And Tier 4, 5, and 6 is awesome, but I have to say, where's the Boomkin loot?
Yeah, I definitely think that's one of the things that engineering is missing, is the ability to make things for everyone else. It's long been regarded as this selfish profession, and we are going to put in more recipes to change that. Why am I answering the Boomkin?
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
Now you get to dodge that bullet. Alright, yeah. Okay, so the Moonkin is kind of a chicken-egg thing. It is the case with more of the builds that are perceived as less viable. While we have the token system at least, so that you have some baseline of gear options, I know there's the case of like, well, what about my relic, or what about my belt boot bracer? I know in particular when I was looking through some Moonkin itemization and trying to figure out what holes I wanted to fill, I looked at the epic boots for Moonkins and went, wow, I made one and it's in Black Temple. These poor guys. Fortunately, going forward, this is something we've been trying to address largely lately on how we want to fix this as going forward into 3.0 and what we can do to fix it in the meantime. So for Zul'Aman, for example, we actually are providing a full itemization set, not necessarily a set, but a full set of itemization for the Moonkin Druids or the Elemental Shamans, or people that got particularly glanced over. So hopefully that'll help them in regards to giving them some kind of baseline raid armor for one of our coming patches. As far as going forward, in 3.0, I think we've got a pretty good solution in general for how to make that a non-issue. It largely ties into the fact that we're adding the free spell damage to healer gear, and then we're looking at basically cutting out the excess itemization needs that we have for a lot of classes, and trying to make it so that that set of caster druid gear would not only be good for the healer, but based on future talents or your talent spec, that same set would be what you want to use to DPS with, and would be the best DPS set. So at that point, Healer Druids and Moonkin Druids are both using the same armor, and they're both happy about it for their respective roles.
We're actually a little over already, but this is going to be the last question. Sorry.
Yeah, my question is on the token system. What it is, it works great for the raiding system, but are you going to think about putting it in for the 5-man and heroic system? As I've just moved into a raid guild, and so for the past 3 years, been in a casual guild. Yeah, seen many a times where people have run Skolo for 75 runs before they've seen their helm drop. So you're going to think about putting in the token system for the 5-man heroics in the new expansion.
Alright, basically with the token system, that was more something we wanted to address because as far as the dungeons, like 5-man instances, heroics versus the raid content, it's more a matter of players won't really be able to quote-unquote farm the raid content as often and get as many loot drops out of it. I think the main thing that we've done to try to address like the Baron Ribbon, oh god, my legs, because I know I went through that too. That was just a matter of when the tables, like the amount of items that a creature drops, when that starts to become too large, then the chances of using any particular item get smaller and smaller and smaller, and the RNG starts to just get mind-numbing at that point. So what we've tried to do in the expansion is, as opposed to giving you a token system where you control necessarily what you get from a dungeon, that would probably make the dungeon feel really obsolete really fast, because you can do a couple runs, everybody's got their gear. Since we tend to want you to, not get bored of a dungeon, we want there to not be that sort of control, but at the same time, we've tried to address the I never see item X by just not putting as many different items on any given boss.
Well, also on the token system, the reason why I asked that is for our off specs and such. See, I'm a Fury Warrior, so yeah, going through all the instances and only seeing tank crap drop all the time.
One more side note that Tom was just commenting. One of the ways, the other things we did to try and address like the leg issue was that in Burning Crusade we took like boss A will drop 3 legs, boss B will drop 3 legs, so you could kind of focus your farming. In regards to the DPS warrior tank crap, well, I guess every warrior needs some amount of tank gear. The DPS warrior itemization might have been a little bit weak at the beginning of the Burning Crusade, especially at the 5-man content level, because there were a lot of things that played out that we couldn't really get a feel for while we were working on the Burning Crusade until players got their hands on it and started giving us feedback, one of which was, oh god, we don't want agility anymore. I know we used to like this stuff. Helm of Endless Rage was great, but please stop giving us agility. So unfortunately, the 5-man content has seen a bit of that where we were basing our design philosophy off of concepts that became outdated later. What we've done to try to address that is with the introduction of Suleiman especially, there's also basically full epic itemization for the DPS warrior. So if 5-mans or Karazhan is your cap out, you'll still have really nice gear to run around in and kill people. And actually, I just showed it. It looks really scary. So.
Okay, thank you everybody. Thanks guys. Next up we have